Hey everybody, how you doing today? So today we're going to talk about ETFs. So what exactly is an ETF? An electric taco factory? An extremely tiny fart? Yeah, see, an ETF is an exchange traded fund. See, with certain things, I have to give you some context. So when you go ask your family and friends, they'll give you some ridiculous answer that has nothing to do with it. I learned that lesson as we're going. Hey, listen, I'm just getting started. Things will get better as I go along. But an ETF, an exchange traded fund, do you know what that is? You've probably heard the term, maybe. It's not something that's extremely mainstream, but it's out there. It'll come around quite a bit. But what is an exchange traded fund? You can ask the family, phone a friend. You know somebody in banking? Ask them, see what they say. I'm willing to bet that the answers you get are gonna be very extreme. Either someone who thinks they know and gives you a really wordy, like super college textbook answer, or people who just take a blind shot in the dark. And by you saying exchange traded fund, like, all right, it's got something to do with money, there's funds, so maybe there's a pool. Go on, ask family and friends. I'll wait. All right, so you've got your answers. You put the comments down below. For the record, there's no wrong answer. That's what we're here for. We want to see where we're at and build on that base to go from there. So, textbook time. What exactly is an exchange traded fund? An exchange traded fund is a type of security that involves a collection of securities, such as stocks, that often tracks an underlying index, although they can invest in any number of industry sectors or use various strategies. All right, what? I mean, it's like, all right, what? You just said a whole bunch of words. What exactly is an ETF? Can we get that translated to plain English, please? An exchange traded fund is nothing more than a pool that you can jump into by buying a little piece of it. When I say jump into, I mean buying a piece of it that tracks something larger. So think of it like buying a basket of stocks. That basket, again, diversification. We don't put all our eggs in one basket. So if you're buying an ETF, typically what you're getting is a small piece of a larger pie made up of a bunch of different things. So you wouldn't want to buy like just Amazon if you want exposure to tech. Maybe you want to buy a piece of Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, like buy all the companies by buying a tech ETF. See, by buying an ETF, an exchange traded fund, you get a piece of a lot of different things for not having to buy all of them directly. Think about ETFs as like, instead of buying stocks, you're buying entire groups of stocks. So you might buy the tech ETF, which gives you a piece of all the tech stocks. Or maybe you buy a healthcare ETF, which gives you a piece of all the healthcare stocks. Or maybe you buy a growth ETF, which is all the small companies that are up and coming and growing. Or maybe you buy, I don't know, the retail ETF, which gives you a piece of all the retail companies. An ETF is just when you buy a basket of something or a group of something as opposed to one. All right, so what does all that mean? You kind of got me, but we're kind of lost a little bit. Real world example time. Get out your pen and paper. This you're going to want to take notes on. So remember our good friend diversification? Yeah, that thing that's important to make sure that all your eggs are in one basket. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the Dow. It's everywhere. The Dow 30 is what everyone uses to gauge how the overall market is doing. These are 30 of some of the best stocks that you can buy. Long-standing companies with strong balance sheets and great these are great companies. Understand that the Dow 30 is like the most exclusive club. Like, everybody don't get in. They don't let in no riffraff. If you in the Dow 30, you've made it. Your point in history is solidified. So when you think Dow 30, let's go over some of the companies that are in the Dow 30. You've got 3M, that's the poster people. They've been around forever and a day, and they pay you a dividend as well. You've got companies like Apple. Yes, Apple, the iPhone people. I'm recording this on the iPhone. I edit it on a Mac. So they're another great company. Think about Nike, them shoes on your feet. Probably wearing a pair of Nikes right now. Walmart, that store that you go to and spend way too much money. Disney, you know that company that bought an entire universe and still has cash left? Yeah. Visa, that ATM card in your pocket has a Visa logo. Guess what? That's not just some pretty symbol. That's an actual company. So you're thinking these are all fantastic companies. I would love to have a piece of them. Great. How much do they all cost? So if you wanted to buy just those companies I spoke of, that would be about $1,000. Some of us don't have $1,000 to invest. Some of us might have $500. Maybe you only got $250. You're thinking, I can't even get one share of, I can't even get a tenth of a share of Amazon or even a share of Apple. How am I supposed to get started? Relax. There's a way around this. See, you still need to be diversified. So if you only have, a couple hundred or maybe even $1,000 or so, you shouldn't be buying individual stocks. Some hard truth, something that you're not going to want to hear. Guess what? If you got less than $10,000-$15,000, you shouldn't be buying individual stocks. You shouldn't. Now, if you get one for free, aka Robinhood or Webull, that's fine because they gave it to you, and that's something for you to understand, how an individual stock works. But you shouldn't be picking individual stocks. Number one, you don't have the experience. Let's be honest, you don't. I'm not gonna lie to you. You shouldn't lie to you. You're not built like that. Number two, you don't have the time necessary to research the company to understand exactly what you're getting into. And I can hear now, well, I can research a company. Do you have enough time to research 15 to make a good diversified portfolio? No. Guess what? Even if you could find 15 and you do have the time, you don't have the money. You can't afford to invest in 10 high quality stocks because you don't have that kind of money. You don't have that kind of time. You don't have that kind of experience. Not saying you can't get there, but right now, you're not there. So what should you be doing? You should be finding a way to invest in some high quality stocks without putting all your eggs in one basket. What you need is an ETF. This is an exchange traded fund. It's a pool that's going to give you exposure to a lot of different companies. Oh, side note, when I say exposure, that just means it's going to give you a piece. I don't want to lose anybody. So you need an ETF. That's going to give you a piece of a lot of really good companies without you having to buy each one of these really good companies. So remember that exclusive club that everybody doesn't get into, the Dow? What if I told you there's a way for you to get a piece of all those companies without buying all of them? Sounds kind of good now, right? If you look up the Dow 30, there are some heavy hitters and some great stocks in there. They have to be. They're part of the Dow. Now, you've got two choices or two ways you could approach this. You can try and buy all 30 stocks in the Dow 30, which would cost you about $4,300, or you can buy an ETF, the DIA, which tracks the Dow. And they tell you that it's made up of just those 30 stocks. So as the Dow goes up, this ETF goes up. As the Dow goes down, the ETF goes down. Because the ETF, this pool, is made up of all those different stocks. Instead of you buying each one of them, you're buying a piece of the pool. You're buying a piece of the fund. Now, for those of us who don't have $4,300 to go out and buy every single Dow component, the ETF seems like a much better way to go about things. And for those of you who have less than 10 grand, which is probably most of you, this is where your money should be. Let's be clear, stashing your money in a savings account, total waste of time. Not only are you not making any money, you're losing money because of something called inflation. I'm gonna go over that in a future video. But inflation generally means your money isn't worth what it was before. You ever heard your grandparents say, I used to go to the picture show for a nickel, and now you're like, movie theater tickets like $10, $20. That's inflation. I'm really simplifying it, but that's what inflation means. It's when your money isn't worth as much. So if you put 10 grand in a pillowcase and just let it sit there, for 5 years, not only did you not make any money, you lost money because your 10 grand isn't worth, it doesn't have the same buying power as it did when you put it in that pillowcase all those years ago. I'm getting sidetracked. You need to have an ETF, an exchange traded fund. This is going to give you access to all those great stocks without you having to buy them individually. The DIA is one that I strongly recommend. It gives you access to the entire Dow 30 without you having to buy it. And you can look it up to see the companies that are in there. I'll put a link in the description below to let you know what 30 companies make up the Dow. These are great household names. These are not companies that are just gonna up and disappear tomorrow. Like, again, this is a really great club for stocks to aspire to get into. All right, so everything's not sunshine and rainbows. There's a catch. There's gotta be a catch. What's this gonna cost me? Well, the money manager, the guy who's in charge of this ETF, he has to get paid because I have to make sure, she, company, again, just being clear, has to make sure that this ETF tracks those same 30 stocks. So as he balances it, make sure that we got exposure to all 30 of them. His fee, wait for it, is 0.16%. That means for every $100, he takes, or she, whatever, 16 cents. Now, if you're like me, your spidey sense is going off. There is no comma, no capital, no way that can be correct. It is. I checked it. I'll put the link in the description below for 3 different sources. It's 16 cents per $100. It's 0.16%. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot of money. Like, why would anybody do this if they're not going to make any money? Well, that fund, the DIA, currently has over 200 billion. That's billion with a B in it. Let that simmer. So that 0.16% still goes out to be a whole lot of money. Trust me, they're not missing no meals. If they're in control of this thing, they're fine. So everybody wins. They get to take a small piece, a really tiny, tiny piece, because it's such a massive fund, and the amount of work they have to do to maintain it ain't really that much, if I'm being honest with you. And you get the advantage of having access to all these great companies that you can't afford. And when I say you, I mean us, because I own this ETF, because it's a good ETF, and I believe in it. So now you know what an ETF is. You know why you need them. I even gave you a good one, that you should throw your money into. Not throw your money into, but one that you should invest in responsibly. Now, if you don't have an ETF, that's all right. If you don't have any investments, you can get started now. Like right now. Down in the description below, you'll find a link to Webull. They'll give you up to 2 free stocks when you deposit $100 in there. And you'll get one to Robinhood where they give you a free stock. Yes, I have both. Why? Because they both gave me free stuff. I like free stuff. I will always take free stuff. So if they're giving out free stocks, I'm going to take it. So that's my recommendation to you. If you're not currently invested, if you're not currently invested, open an account, get started. We're gonna have another video about compound interest, but long story short, you need to have gotten started like yesterday. And if you already have an account, don't quite know what to buy, and you were thinking about individual stocks, but Larry, you said pick a stock or something. I know. Yeah, if you got enough money to pick a bunch of stocks, but you don't. So an ETF like the DIAs, great place to get started. Anyway, I'm Larry. Y'all know what I do. Every week we go over a finance term. I break it down into plain English so that anybody and everybody can understand. Hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, give me a comment. Let me know, what ETFs maybe you're invested in or which ones you recommend. What did everybody in the house say an ETF was, just out of curiosity. If you found the video helpful, share it with your family and friends. If you found it really helpful and like the way I do things, subscribe. We'll be back here every week and we'll be going over stuff like this. And if there's something I can do to help you, let me know. That's what I'm here for. All right, man. I'll see y'all later.